Welcome, everyone. This is Jim Spora with ISSIP, the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals, and it's my great pleasure today to have on the Zoom Eoin Cumiskey and from MasterCard, and we're doing preparation for the panel on transformation of industry sectors, financial sector. It's great to have MasterCard on, Eoin. I'd love to just have you introduce yourself, and then I'll ask you a few questions about AI and digital transformation of the financial sector. So please introduce yourself.
Super happy to, Jim. Thank you. By way of introduction, my name is Eoin Cumiskey. As Jim mentioned, work in MasterCard. I work on the global franchise innovation team. And effectively, our remit is to advise government and semi-governmental rail operators on any type of new payment infrastructure that they're thinking to set up. So traditionally, card companies, obviously well known for their card rails or their infrastructures containing card-related technologies. In the latter few years, begun to diversify into what are called alternate payment methods, such as account to account, crypto-enabled CBDC opportunities. And that's where I work, on the edge of that sort of innovative landscape.
Fantastic, Owen. And so you see this digital transformation, you're leading it, you're innovating in this area. But as you look at the landscape in the financial sector and you think about how it's transforming, your role, how it's transforming the industry, are there any things that really stand out to you that you'd like to share with the ISIP community?
Yeah, I think change is secular in nature. It has various sort of peaks and troughs whereby new things emerge. The industry gets excited with the opportunities, and then inevitably it takes a bit of time to bed in. I think it goes back to the old adage of how does change happen gradually, then suddenly. And in the last 15, 20 years, we've witnessed the growth of concepts around big data. We've moved from big data to Internet of Things to unstructured data, large data lakes, etc. And alongside those, we've seen the rise of new technologies, which are slowly, they go through the hype phase and then they slowly bed in. And most notably, we've seen in payments a rise towards contactless. We've seen more and more adoption of cards, virtual cards, wearable pay, as it begins to move away from the traditional cash-based society. The next phase and the next stage we're looking towards will most likely be very much driven by blockchain-enabled change, whether that's an adoption of the underlying technology into existing capabilities or a wholesale change towards new assets and new methodologies.
Great. And on the idea that AI is, a big factor these days, and there's both the automation aspect of it as well as the augmentation aspect of it. Do you see certain jobs that are, tedious or have a heavy cognitive load that are, good candidates for AI? And just wondering what your thoughts are on AI.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, AI, it's in many respects, the genie's out of the bottle. If we were to take a historical view over the last 30, 40 years, there are many, many roles that have been slowly subsumed or replaced by other forms of automation. So bookkeepers, people who are involved in manual entry work. We've seen the rise of large processing centers, then the shrink of large processing centers as we get this omni-channel approach towards self-service and chatbots and what have you. We're probably looking at a continuation of those trends from the remnants of the early stages of automation and AI. The real key development that we've witnessed in the last few years, particularly driven around large language models because they've grabbed all the headlines, but also looking at low code generation type bots. Those are already under rigorous investigation. In my role across both governmental sector and commercial bank sector, there's not a single client or prospective client who's not actively investigating it. There are notable concerns, primarily around privacy, also around the fact that code bases which are publicly available versus privately available, picking up on the privacy element, need greater levels of protection as you begin to engage with the tools. But already various draft lists are appearing in terms of roles that are most likely to be, I wouldn't necessarily say replaced. Perhaps you'll see the dynamic shift between having 100 developers doing a lot of manual code entry and crunching into 100 developers checking code base and looking at new and innovative ways that they can lay and layer on top of it new features and functionalities. So less of a less of a Luddite concern that the machines will make everybody redundant, and more of a positive approach towards how do we improve our lifestyle, how do we improve our productivity, how do we improve our client-facing capabilities through the adoption of this new technology, which is very refreshing and quite relieving.
Good, good. Thanks, Owen. I'm wondering, how do you see skills for the future? In ISIP, we talk a lot about T-shaped people with breadth for communication and depth for problem solving. But maybe two questions here. How do you keep up with accelerating change, and what sort of skills do you think are important for the future?
It's a great question. One of the earliest people that I worked for had a wonderful construct of the inverted hourglass, which is effectively you get your first role by doing one thing, whether it's you're answering calls or you're doing some data modeling or whatever it is, that one little thing that takes you in. And then as you move up your career trajectory into middle management, you have to widen the scope of your abilities. A lot of fungible skill sets in terms of being able to quickly come to terms with new concepts, analyze new trends, being able to use your emotional intelligence to really sort of synchronize everybody at that fat middle layer. And then as you go back towards the top, you find yourself specializing once again. So it's very interesting, the comparison in T-shape. The people who are capable of navigating the next generation of the workplace will definitely be those who are able to quickly pick up new concepts, learn, adapt, understand, apply, and then put them down again. And it'll be that sort of fungible skill set that allows you to move across multiple topics, multiple environments, multiple departments, that will give you a greater capability in two respects. First of all, whatever your industry, whatever your business, you will be able to learn more of it far quicker than any of your predecessors. And then the second bit will be as you progress through your career, being able to take those learnings and move across other industries. So gone are the days of working for a company for 40 years. In are the days of the independent minded contractor operating a permanent role, but ready to develop their career and bring themselves forward throughout the industry.
Yeah, and we'll wrap up soon here, but how do you keep up with accelerating change? Do you read a lot? Do you go to conferences? How do you manage all of this coming at you? You seem to do a great job, by the way.
Curious mindset, being fortunate enough to have a job that allows for a certain degree of flexi time, but also constantly attempting to challenge the unknown unknowns. So recently I tripped and stumbled into a little bit of work involving quantum, which definitely proves the adage, the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. And so once you start delving through your Google alerts, through your various conferences, 9 out of 10 times you'll get a slew of information coming back to you, but also expanding your network, whether it's in the traditional physical sense of whatever company you're in, identifying the departments or the teams that you literally have very little understanding of, going over, getting the coffees and the diaries, getting the conversations going, doing that remotely, and just trying to challenge yourself to understand different aspects of the landscape. Some you will find interesting, some will be terribly boring, but it gives you a bit of a feel for the overall context of the environment that you're having to operate in.
Fantastic. And our last question, really, and this is an ISIP related question, since ISIP as a community, the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals, we try to bring together industry and academic types and everything from students early in their career all the way to retirees like me, you know, and a lot of career professionals right in the middle. How do you see the importance of industry university collaboration, and how do you see that changing in this digital transformation AI era? Do you have any thoughts on that to share?
Yeah, it's massively important. It's massively important, primarily so that you get exposed to the reality of the operating environment that you're going into. My own time in university, the ideas are key. Ideas form the basis of conceptual arguments and form the basis of theoretical discussion. When you're in industry, that's when ideas meet reality, and reality can have multiple layers of various complex factors that will drag the process from idea through to execution and elongate it and take it in different directions and be responsible for multiple inflection points. So getting exposed as soon as possible to people who are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years through that process gives you the real opportunity to understand what it takes to bring something from concept through to delivery. The digital transformation, having said all that, means that the traditional journey from idea to execution will most likely be heavily, heavily, heavily sandwiched, because digital technologies will allow a large number of those stages to be bypassed. However, the other thing that you will get from the industry university collaboration is an understanding that every idea that's generated today comes on the back of an idea that was generated last year and the year before. And companies are carrying multiple previous innovation sprints that have to be embedded into a roadmap that your idea fits into. So for me, it's about getting a real understanding of what the reality of the marketplace looks like, making sure that you keep that fresh, innovative mindset and that you come with good ideas, being able to challenge the status quo and compressing those little delays that you'll meet along the way, getting it faster so the generation behind you looks at what you've done and says, that's slow, and they speed it up still.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Owen. I'm going to stop the recording and look forward to the panel discussion later today. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Jim, my pleasure.